before I completely retire that we're back on the upswing, and that part of the exhibition world would be healthy again.
Yeah, that would.
Because Drake's was up back then. God, in just the summer months, you could run 50, 60 dates without trying.
Yep.
You know, because they always wanted one or two cars, 4 cars, great. We did a lot of stuff. Like, Chrysler Corporation used to rent an island dragway for a deal they called Motec Days. It was, Motec was their mechanical college, I guess, for the young kids out of high school back then, you know, to get them to go through their classes. Well, when they rented the track for a day, and all the high school kids, they always booked us to be there to put on the show, this and that and everything. It was great. But, you know, those places are gone now. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
So, doesn't mean it's gone for good. Hopefully, Bill Bader at Norwalk now, he still puts on some pretty good shows. You know, he's another good promoter.
So now, Ernie, currently, how many sponsors do you have?
I have 5 money sponsors, some product sponsors, and then I have my wallet.
So who are your 5 sponsors?
Right now we have a thing, it's Space Age Paint. I have Royal Plating. I have Pennzoil, NGK, and occasionally we get at different displays in this, we have O'Reilly's. And then right now the rest of it's out of my pocket, so that's why we're working on some other companies to kind of help us get along here. You know, like we used to get test tires from Goodyear all the time, and it helped out a bunch, and now, because of liability reasons and that, we can't get the test tires, and, you know, you're looking $500-600 per tire, and, you know, it's just things add up.
Yeah.
So we're always on the lookout for somebody that can come on board, and, you know, we've been talking with Mattel and the Hot Wheels deal because of the way the truck is. I got a couple trucking companies that we're trying to, you know, talk with right now, and a couple of the pretty big truck stops across the country that, because of it being the little semi, that we're hoping maybe to put something together with. So we're still working.
So now, Ernie, when you have a weekend to go to the track, before you go to the track, what goes into preparation to get the wheel stand ready to go for the weekend?
Well, normally we pull the engine down to the bare block, check everything out, put it all back together. I have sheets where it depends. I only put so many runs on the exhaust valves, only so many runs on the, you know, the valve springs, you know, and the blower belt and everything else. I have a few different transmissions complete, ready to go. So I put 25 runs, and when I get close to there, we swap them out for a fresh one just to be safe, and, you know, do a thorough nut and bolt check because we rattle things loose quite a bit on these. Just a couple days of going over the car real good, and then making sure that the trailer's full of everything we need, and then we usually get everything hooked up and away we go. We try to leave everything tool-wise and spare parts in the trailer at all time. That way you don't have stuff in the garage, stuff in the trailer, and you forget things. So you have to have quite a bit of spare parts.
So now, Ernie, what are some of your favorite tracks to go to?
God, I tell you, any place really. I just love going to the races. But over the years, the Grove is one of them. We used to have a place in Michigan called Tri-City Dragway, the McKinnons. They were just fantastic people to deal with. I miss like Englishtown. I like going to Norwalk. We had Miami used to be Miami Hollywood used to be a really nice track to go to. Orange County was great. Pomona, Ontario was a real nice track too. It forever shut down on that thing. It was great. SII up in Washington. I mean, that's just a few of them that were Milan back when, in the 70s, that Milan was really great. They did a lot of stuff there. And it just, over the years, there's so many tracks, sometimes you forget about some of them. So there's some that you wish you would forget.
So now,
especially in the chill. Go ahead.
So now, how many years has it been since you've been to the Grove?
Oh God, probably 88 or 89. Wow. Somewhere in there, 88, 87, 88, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, when I got, I moved out west because of the weather. I couldn't take that cold back there any longer. And they just, things got tighter, and then I started concentrating on doing a lot more West Coast and Midwest through this area, and some of the other things that we were doing, some of the Mexicans, down through Mexico, and a lot of the Canadian stuff out here, and they were paying really, really good money. So I kind of got involved with really concentrating on that area. But that's why I say I really would like to maybe get a couple tours where we used to go through, all through the Midwest and the East Coast, and just like the old days, and have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Which, it can still be a reality. We're working, like I said, we're working on a few different things at the present time, and the main thing is just being able to put some laps on the car and still enjoy it. Yep.
That's kind of where we're at right now, and I know the people are good. The good guys, they're pleased with everything we've done, and they're wanting us to do some more stuff through California and Oregon and Washington, but they do some stuff back east. So when I'm there in March, I'm going to be talking to Harry, the head guy now at the good guys, and seeing about trying to do a few of their events back, in the Midwest and towards the east. And that's all reverts to money, So if we can put that end of it together, then it'll make things a little easier to do some other races because you'll be in the area. Once you're already there and rolling, it's a little easier to adjust the price around.
Right.
So at this point, that's kind of where we're looking. We got a lot of stuff on paper we're looking at. It's just getting it to reality is the next step.
Yep.
Which would be great.
Definitely.
You know, and getting back there, I said, like I said, and seeing some of the old guys would be a lot of fun also. It'd make it very interesting. Especially Richard. I always liked racing against him because it was always a good, clean race, but we raced each other pretty hard. And that I always, anytime I could beat him was always a super enjoyment. Because I'd surprise him every so often, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, hopefully that happens again soon.
Oh yeah, and like I said, it's a shame, and I'm really not that familiar with the people that have the Grove at this time, but I think maybe if some of the fans worked on them too about putting something like that on, that one, they could make good money off it, plus it'd really draw a lot of people, because I think people want to see that again.
Yeah.
You know, they want to see those cars. I mean, I'm always asked about why aren't there more wheel standards here and there and everything, and it's unfortunately it reverts back to dollars and cents.
Yep.
But you never say never. Things can happen.
Yep.
So, see, next time you go out to the Grove, you need to put that in their ear. You know, get some of these old guys back there and put on a show.
Yeah, then I like I told you, I know my buddy Jet Car George is listening into this interview right now. George, you need to call Randy and let him know you want the Wheel Standard show there.
Well, yeah, because I tell you, Bob used to put on some of the bigger shows there.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was probably around 76 or 77. I remember we had like 18 cars there one year. I mean, it was like amazing. It was like 18 cars. And it was great.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and then we did a few World Series Championship races up in Canada and stuff. And I remember they were building this one in Calgary. Really is the most wheel standards. But when I got up there, and there was 6 of us. It was 6, and that was the most cars there. So they're still popular. I think they'd be way more popular if we just got out more. You know, everybody that has them really did get out more. You know, with the being able to for the exposure, I think they'd be just as popular as they were back in '65.
Yeah, then you got Eric with his wheel standing golf cart, him and Daryl. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Those are pretty cool. You know, they're out there having fun.
Yep.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, that's why most of the guys do it. I mean, yeah, the money's nice and everything else, but when it comes right down to it, it's what you get out of it, and that's the enjoyment of driving a car, and it's a heck of a ride. You know, I mean, it's different from the funny cars and dragsters and everything else. I mean, it's there's a lot going on, way more than people understand.
So I just got a funny message from my buddy George. Ernie said tell you that he wants you to run at Great Lakes Dragway for like Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend instead of Richard, because they always have Richard by himself. He said you can replace Richard.
Just tell them to put the dollar signs in front of it, and we'd love it.
Because he said
Especially if I took a race from Richard, I would never let him forget that.
he said he's videotaped Richard too many times that the Grove needs to videotape you. He's never videotaped you.
Yeah, that'd be great. But like I said, see, maybe things will start popping. Who knows? It'd be great.
Yeah. Cause that's the thing about the Grove right now. Every Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend, they pretty much bring the same show in every year.
See, I ran those 2 dates, like I said, 10, 15, 16 years or more up there. But we always had different amount of cars. We had a lot of cars. I mean, we brought in. I mean, I got pictures and everything. He brought in this L trike one time. It was like a motorcycle trike with a car engine, and the guy could get the front end up in the air for a little bit. So Bob built him as a wheel stander, but it was different. They had I remember they had this Volkswagen van. My God, the front wheels were almost touched the rear wheels. It was shortened so much. And it popped little wheelies. I mean, he'd throw that in the middle of the mix and stuff. It was kind of the same, but never the same. You know what I mean? There was always something added, and we always had great crowds. I mean, great crowds. And, I mean, that's going to tell you if people are getting tired of it.
Yeah.
And we always had excellent crowds. But you had a lot more cars.
Yep.
So, and there's some tracks you run that, honestly, they couldn't afford multiple cars. So that's where I think the wheel standers had the advantage, because we could go out and put a single car show on and be impressive, whereas with the jet cars and stuff, it's a little hard to do just a single car show, you know what I mean? Because you can go up and down the track from lane to lane, there's just a lot of little things we could do that put on a real good show. I mean, I've raced at circle tracks and airports, down runways and taxiways and stuff, and, at some of the air shows, whatever they like. I mean, and we've always had an excellent response to what we've done.
My buddy George just sent me a message. He said, trike was Paul Stender.
Pardon me?
My buddy George sent me a message. He said, trike was Paul Stender.
Oh, yeah. I got some colored pictures here with me racing them. And I just didn't remember the guy that well, unfortunately. But yeah, I remember it was called L Trike. I mean, it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, God, I've got pictures from the Grove with all kinds of stuff. I mean, different things and everything. And it was, I do miss those days, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of
I think probably of all the tracks between Norwalk and the Grove, they're way up at the top.
Yep.
They're way up at the top of the tracks I like to go to, and we just had, we always had fun. Yeah, Doug Rose and I used to. God, he used to harass me so much, it was unreal. We were there right after they opened up that beer garden. Aggie Hegdrich was coming up, and she was really all over me about being so short. And Doug walked up, put his arm on my shoulder, looked down, and he goes, without my sticks, because he had the two wooden legs, artificial limbs, right. He goes, without my sticks, he goes, I'm only 3'2". Which Yeah, trying to make you feel better. I thought it was pretty funny the way he, described it. And when a lot of the competitors get along and have fun, you can see it in the show because they put on a better show.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame what happened to Doug Rose last year.
Yeah, that was a shame. I did car shows until NHRA banned wheel standers and jets running against each other. Geez, Doug and I run against each other a lot. And he was just such a neat guy. And he just loved the jets. I mean, he just loved them things. It's a shame that what happened, but
yeah. Now
racing.
Now my buddy George sent me another message, Ernie. He's asking me, have you ever been to Wisconsin International Raceway?
Yes.
Oh, there you go, George. He's been there.
I'm trying to remember how Van Dalwicki used to have it. Yeah. Matter of fact, I can't believe it, we were there one weekend. There was Peppool, Maverick, myself, and I don't remember the fourth car. We're sitting there to get in the track. It had been raining. They called the race of rain, and like 2 hours later, it was like 75 degrees out and sunny, which really sucked. And then, because we left there, and I was going to race, and Chuck and I was racing, we went from there, and we had to go up to Winnipeg for the next weekend for the next race.
Right.
Which, I won't forget that, man. I never got out of my fire suit. It was so darn cold. Oof. It was chilly up there.
So now speaking of your fire suit, where do you get all your fire safety equipment from?
Well, for years I used to get it from Bill Simpson, and then when Simpson left Simpson Safety Equipment, now I get my stuff from Impact, Bill's new company.
All right.
And they have really nice stuff.
Now, Ernie, what would you consider to be the milestones of your career so far?
Oh, boy, never really thought about it, to be honest with you. Probably. Well, I really loved driving the AFX car. That was amazing. And then once I got the handle, and I think my very first wheel stander was just, I was a nervous wreck at first. I was making stupid mistakes. And once I got settled down, calmed down, and really started enjoying it then. Instead of dreading getting in the car, I just couldn't wait to get in the car. And I think that made a huge difference. I mean, that was great. And then when I totaled that one in Miami in 1980, which really sucked because I really liked that car. I would have probably, I don't know, I still might have been driving it today. I enjoyed that car so much, so that's why I want to make an exact clone of it. It was such a neat car, and plus the fact that Chrisman had built it. Jack was one of my big idols. He was such a great guy.
Yep.
So it's hard
hard to pinpoint just a few of them. I mean, I've just been very fortunate to everything. You know, being able to do it and continue to do it, and I think and probably loving it as much now as I did, probably more than when I started, because it's just it's a neat ride, I guess is the best way to put it. I mean, when you're leaving a line, I mean, especially our car, I mean, even my truck is a mid-engine vehicle, and you have to leg it, and it not only slams you back in the seat, but tries to screw your head into the top of the roll cage when it rotates, and it's fakes and pops, and it's cool. Great.
All right. So now, Ernie, throughout all these years of doing this, have you had any accidents or close calls?
Well, that's why I've had 6 different cars. Yeah, I guess you want to say that. The original Detroit Duster, yeah, we had just a few minor crashes. I took the whole back of the car off one time on top of guardrail, and just, you know, some stuff like that. And then in Florida racing, Chuck Hopkins, we got tangled up in at the other end. It just, as we went through the lights, his car exploded, and a lot of stuff went on, and I got tangled up in some palmetto trees, 4 of them, and that was the end of that car. So then I had went to a flip-top car with a Tommy Ivo body on it. That one lasted, I think I put about a year or so, maybe 2 on that one. And then I switched to a lighter and smaller Detroit Duster style that I got from Brad Anderson. And the very first pass at the Grove, very first pass on that new car, one of the guys working for me didn't get the body latch. And I just got on the skid plates and was going to really hammer the throttle. The body come up and rip the throttle wide open. And so, yeah, we've had some, like I said, we've had 6 different cars because of that stuff. So, they're not the easiest thing in the world to drive, especially at the other end. You know, when you're taking off, you can manhandle them with the steering brakes a little bit, but probably from 700-800 foot down, if you're running 130, 40, 50, you got to really watch how you grab on the brakes on that, because it'll start moving around quite a bit on you pretty quick. So, yeah, just to answer that question, I guess, yeah, we have had some crashes.
All right, so you ready for a few fun questions now?
Yeah.
Okay, other than the wheel stander, do you have any other hobbies in your life?
Yeah, well, I used to fly. You know, I used to have my airplanes I really loved. But then I got into these old cars now, and that's kind of my hobby. It used to be, in the beginning, my hobby was my racing. That was all I did. I didn't care about golfing or bowling or anything. I mean, it was driving either mine or somebody's race car. I mean, that's all I cared about. But now, if I'm not racing, I like doing my old Chryslers.
All right, now with wheel standing, you consider Richard Hutchins your greatest competitor out there?
Well, him and Chuck Poole.
Chuck was probably we still, keep in touch and everything. He's probably my best friend, but he didn't cut me any slack. When we raced, and that's what I kind of, because Chuck and Richard and I, for several years until Chuck retired, we did a lot of racing together, a lot of stuff together, and I'd have to say those two probably were my biggest ones. Maverick raced him a lot, but I don't know, he was just the guy to race. I mean, we were kind of friends, but never really friends, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And Ernie Trout, I don't know, he always worked hard to put on a good show. Him and I we still talk and friendly, but he wasn't my first choice for someone to race. Like I said, Chuck and Richard and Kenny Nelson they were the ones that I enjoyed racing the most. And Richard, though, was one of the toughest because he tried to sandbag you once in a while and stuff, but I caught on to his act really quick, and I used to really like it when I could lay a good run on him.
All right, now my buddy George has another message with a question for you. George is asking you, have you heard from Bob Hall on? Do you know where the Airborne Express and Paddy Wagon are? Those two wheel standers?
You know what? I haven't talked to Bob in quite a while. And the last time I saw the Paddy Wagon was when Jack Rumentrout used to live in Tucson, Arizona. And I was down there, and he had it at the house. And from there, I really don't know where it went.
How about the Airborne Express?
I haven't seen that in years or heard about it.
Well, there's your answer, George.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wish I had something better to tell him, but I don't.
Yeah.
And then I remember, I don't know if you remember Tommy Maris's Moonshot.
Yeah.
Then Kenny Nelson had it.
Yep.
That ended up turning into a bracket car out of Cleveland, Ohio. The guy got it from Kenny, and they made it into a bracket car. So I know where that went. And then Jimmy Brewer's old Hummingbird. At one time he had a Dodge A100 wheel stander called a Hummingbird. That sat in the back of Kenny's property for so many years. Him and I were talking about it and figured, maybe we'll do something with it. Well, we went out there and the thing literally just fell apart. I mean, from sitting, out in the elements for so long.
All right, now George just sent me another message. Ernie said, he said Kenny's wife still has the bus for sale. To let you know that.
Oh yeah, I know. I still talk with Gay, and she's got the bus and the Freightliner and the trailer and everything for sale, and it's a little spendy, but Kenny did a great job with it.
You know, he did a real good job with the bus.
Now, Ernie, if you were able to do time traveling and go backwards in time, would you do anything differently with the racing career?
Yeah, I think I really would have. I know I would have been way more serious when it come to the exhibition cars. You know, they were fun. They were, they were great. And I just think I could have done a lot more if I would have applied myself a lot more. I just, I was getting my airplanes going and my businesses, and I had money for this and that. And when I first started with them, I didn't, and I was more money hungry, and I had to make all this stuff, and kind of got sidetracked a little bit. And, I just wish I would have probably do everything from start until now. Would have just been a little more serious.
All right. Now, can you tell us about one of your embarrassing moments at the track?
Oh, yeah. Well, there have been a few of those. I mean, like I said, one at the Grove, brand new car. There goes the bottom. Matter of fact, I think I had something like that happen twice, and I'd never had a car painted silver before, and I wanted to try a silver car. It had two bodies painted silver. One of them didn't even have any lettering. Lost both those bodies. That was the end of that tune for silver. And I went back to the blue cars. Yeah, and I remember a really weird incident one time at the Grove where we were right at the starting line, and the car wouldn't light. Car did not fire. Had no clue. And we went to push it, and at that time there was a little set of stands right by the starting line on the left-hand side. And as I went to push it around there, apparently I hit the mag switch or something, and the car lit. I was like, holy crap. That was pretty embarrassing. Because I lost the run,
Right.
But, yeah, and then I unfortunately ran out of fuel a few times. We only carried like 11 gallons. So you didn't have a lot of luxury to spend time with a lot of burnouts. And we were doing a deal at Detroit Dragway. I don't know if you remember, this is years ago back, and this had to be around 80. They had a lot of stuff on TV where these high schools were building drag cars and stuff. Well, they were one of the high schools. There was several high schools back in the Detroit area that had built them. They were doing a special race at Detroit Dragway, and they were going to film all this stuff. So Don Broden, the track manager, called me, wanted me to come out, and they were gonna, we're gonna lead the show off doing a wheel stand and everything. So we get out there, and we're trying to get to the starting line. It's congested, so we started the car early to get around everybody. I threw a little burnout back up, hammered the throttle, and the car went off in the ditch. Got back on the track. I backed up, cleaned the tires, hammered it. I got out about 800 foot and flat ran out of fuel in the air. Boom, man, it come down. Oh, God. It landed like a brick.
Wow.
But right in front of all the TV cameras, and I ran out of fuel. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Man, that's a few of them,
Yeah. So George has one more question for you. Ernie, he said,
Sure.
Ask Ernie if Danny Burmer is still bringing the chuck wagon back, because he heard that Danny was building the chuck wagon back.
You know, I wish I could answer 100%. I heard the same thing, but I can't tell you 100%. He, from what I understand, they painted it up with a different paint scheme and stuff like that, and supposed to be coming back out. But that's the last I heard.
All right. So Ernie, what's your favorite food to eat?
What's my favorite food? Probably steak and potatoes.
You're a steak and potato guy.
Yeah, I'm very simple.
What's your favorite beverage you drink?
Well, now or when I was younger?
Now.
Now? Geez, I don't know. Probably a Diet Coke. Then it used to be, because we had Pabst as one of our sponsors years ago, was Pabst.
All right. All right. What's your favorite music to listen to?
Oh, 50s, 60s.
Like 50s, 60s
Yeah,
rock.
stuck in the past there. I like that stuff.
Like 50s, 60s rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
You like Elvis?
Pardon me?
You like the King Elvis? Elvis Presley. You like Elvis?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was okay. Yeah.
Buddy Holly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Buddy Holly's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that era. I was just we used to really get into that stuff back then.
So what's been the fondest memory of your drag racing career?
Fondest memory. I'll be honest with you. Probably when I got to meet Jack Christman for the very first time, and I was very fortunate that up until he passed away, for several years, we really got to be really good friends. He always had excellent advice. He really had an excellent sense of humor, and he was just such a nice guy. I mean, he, I really, really kind of miss him. I mean, he was just a great guy to meet, and then I was fortunate enough to really get to be close friends with him. I used to, when I would go from Michigan to California for like either Ontario or Pomona or somewhere, I was fortunate enough, I used to, use his shop to work on the car and everything. It just, that was great.
Awesome. Well, Ernie, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do an interview. Now, you have any final words or thank yous you want to do before we get off the air?
Well, I mean, I appreciate you spending the time, and it was good talking about the past, and hopefully we can really get something going at the Grove and get back there and get to be able to see everybody and have some more fun.
Yeah, that would be a great time.
Oh yeah, I mean that runs through my mind a whole bunch about going back to the Midwest for a summer and just really having some fun and seeing a lot of the old guys.
Okay, well, George, you're listening out there. Call Randy Henning tomorrow, the Grove owner, and let him know you want the wheel standers back over there, buddy.
Yep, tell them, yeah. We need all the help we can get to get these guys back on the, booking good shows.
Definitely. Well, thanks again, Ernie. I want to thank you again.
Oh, that's quite all right. Really enjoy it, and have a good time, and thank you very much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. We'll get you on the air again in the future.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Whenever I can help or whatever, just let me know.
I will. You have a great night, Ernie.
You too. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're
Bye
welcome.
now.
Bye-bye.